In this video, I am going to show you how to create reference lines, box plots, and band lines. So let's begin by creating a simple visualization, one that you've definitely seen before. This is cells by category and subcategory. And let's use category as our color. That looks nice. So to add a reference line in Tableau, you just right click your axis and click on add reference line, and from here you can see many different options. So let's add a reference line that shows us the average profit across the subcategories and categories. So from here, let's choose profit. Oh no, see, profit is not here in the options, and the reason is because profit is not in the view. So you can only add reference lines using something that is in the view. So let's go back and add profit to our view. To add profit to our view without changing anything in the view, you can just take profit and add it to detail. This way we'll have profit in the view, but it's not affecting what is shown in the view. So we have profit in the marks card, but it's not affecting what we see in the view. Now let's go back to add our reference line. Now when we come here, profit is in our line, it's one of the options, so we can choose profit. And as you can see right here, so pay attention to this dark line. So as you can see right here, so we can go ahead and change the line to something thick to make it easier to see, and let's make it black. Yep. So now the lines are a whole lot easier to see. So this right here is basically saying per pen. So per pen means per category. So this is one category: furniture, office supplies, technology. That's one category, right? Category is our top level, and then subcategory is individual cells. So if I click on per cell, right now it's telling us the average profit per subcategory. Now we can do for the entire table, and we can look at average profit across all the categories. Alright, so but in this case, let's just choose per pen, which is average profit per category in this case. And from here, we've chosen some profit, and we'll just focus on line for now, and then we'll come back to band, distribution, and box plots later. And from here you can choose let's say constant. Constant means you set a defined value. So let's say, for example, we have a profit goal of 20,000. We can set it to 20,000. Then we can quickly see which categories and subcategories is performing below the profit objective, and the ones that are performing above the profit objective. Let's set it to something like 200,000. So now we can see which subcategories has a profit above our objective and below our objective. So that's what constant does. And of course, you can choose sum, you can choose median, minimum, maximum, total, but in this case I just want the average profit. So label computation is how you want it to be labeled. So right now with computation, it is labeled average, but here if we change it to custom, we can set the computation to, let's say, hello world or something like that. Custom computation. Of course, we can use something like this field name, cells, or we can add something like field label, do something like computation, value, stuff like that. So, or we can come here and do value. So basically what it is showing us right here is what the actual value is. So we can do custom. We can have none. You can have nothing if we don't want anything there. We can do custom, and we can do the field name, and then let's say actually around to this computation. So we can do computation and then the value. So we are saying that we have an average. The average cells is, so here we are saying we have an average sales of this much money. So that's what this label is. But right now let's just leave it as computation average. And then we want our tooltip to be automatic. Of course, you can also customize your tooltip with different things. Like when you hover over this, what information do you want? So in this case, let's just put it at automatic. And of course, you can choose different options here. And show recalculated line for highlighted or selected data point. I'll show you what this does in a second, but let's go ahead and click OK. So that is the basics of how you add a reference line. So this is the tooltip we are talking about. We've set it to automatic. And of course, we can customize this tooltip. So when you select marks on the view, it will recalculate the average. So for these two marks selected, the average profit is 351,000, and it still shows you the original average profit. So if we select these marks, it will show us the average profit across the marks we selected and still show us the original mark. That's what it means by this. Let's say if you can edit your reference line by right clicking and going to edit reference line. So this right here is what allows us to select a mark and then see the new calculated average and the old one. So if we uncheck this and click OK, when we select something, it will still show us the original average. It's not going to recalculate the average for the selected marks. So that's what that does. And like I said earlier, if you want to edit your marks, you can right click here and edit reference line, or you can just do remove reference line. That's one way to add a reference line. Another way to add a reference line is to use the analytics pane. So from the analytics pane, you have different options, and in this case, reference line. You take reference line and you choose the level of detail you want to look at, and let's just do across the table. And once you drop it, this reference line box plot will come up, and then from here you can still make the same changes as we did before. Another way to remove your reference line is just to drag it off. So if I go ahead and add this to pane for example, and just click OK here, because this is just for demonstration. And if I want to remove this reference line, I can right click and remove reference line, or I can just drag this off and the reference line goes out. So that's one way to remove the reference line. Now let's talk about band, distribution, and box plots. When we go to band here, band basically just shows you computation. I want this for the entire table, or let's just do per pen. And it just shows you a range of values. So in this case, this is the minimum and this is the maximum. So let's go with profit. Tells you the minimum profit and the maximum profit. And let's go to average. You want it to be computation, sure, why not? the tooltip to be automatic. So we want to bend it to profit, right? So basically right here is banding the average profit per pen to the maximum, or we can do it to the minimum or to the average, which will collapse everything, or to the maximum. So it tells you here, okay, so this is average profit and this is the maximum profit, right? And let's say we can choose something like maximum here, but that will collapse everything. So let's go to average here. Maximum here. And of course you can choose the field too. So let's choose something like this for the field. So it's a little bit more obvious what we are doing here. And we can do for the entire table, or we can do per pen. And let's click OK. And when you hover over it, it gives you it tells you the maximum profit is 43,000, and then the average profit is 15,000 for this particular subcategory. So basically it creates a band that spans from the maximum profit to the average profit. And if we change this to let's say minimum, it tells you the average profit and then the minimum profit. Or you can change this to a constant, like let's say 100,000, and it just gives you a band that goes from the average profit to 100,000. So that's how bands work. Now let's go to distribution. So basically distribution is like computing the distribution of something. So from here, let's just do it for the entire table. And let's for the distribution, you have 4 different options. You have percentages, you have percentiles, quartiles, and standard deviation. So from percentile, for example, you can show the 80 percentile profit, quartiles, standard deviation. So it tells you the 60% of total profit and 80% of total profit. If you use something like 60-80, let's just do 20-80 or something like that. And here it tells you 80% of total profit and 20% of total profit. And of course you can use cells, but in this case let's go to profit and let's go to average. 20% of average profit, 80% of average profit. So you can play around with this to kind of get what you want it and to make it look exactly the way you want it to look. Let's go with green here. That looks cool. You can fill above it, you can fill below it, you can do symmetric filling. So there's many different options for you to play with here. And now box plot is a combination of bands and line plot. To really show you how box plots work, I went ahead and rearrange this, and I just have category and cells up here, and I took subcategory and added it to detail, and I left profit as detail. And of course we can make this look a whole lot better by editing our reference line and leaving it as green, but let's say changing it to something like this, and or this but a little bit smaller. We could hide the underlying data if we wanted to, but let's just leave the underlying data right there. And of course you could change this as you want. We can make it black, or we can make it no fill. Let's just make it green. Why not? It looks cool. And then we can click OK right there, And when you hover over this box plot, it gives you a whole lot of information. It tells you the upper whisker is 450,000. The upper hinge is 251,000. So this is the upper whisker up here. This, then the upper hinge, and then it tells you the median, right? And then it gives you the lower hinge. So this line right here is the median, and then it gives you the lower hinge, which is this, and then it gives you the lower whisker, which is this line down here. So if you can hover over the box plots to get more information about it. And if we change take subcategory here and take category to detail, things change. So box plots may not be ideal for like all calculations. We take this here and then take subcategory back to detail. Now we get our box plots back. So box plots are useful for some things, but they're not useful for some things. That's it for this video. That is how you create and add reference lines in Tableau. See you on the next video.